Devina Mehra is now joining us. She's founder, chairperson, and managing director at First Global. Devina, great to have you with us here. Good morning. Thanks very much for being with us here on CNBC TV 18. Prashant this side. Just map out, the markets for us. What we've seen so far, which has been unrelenting rally. And sort of intermittent. January, we saw a very short-lived small pullback. Day before yesterday, we saw a bit of a sell-off. Yesterday, of course, was much more orderly. What from here in the near and medium term to your mind, Devina?
Good morning, Prashant, and good morning to your viewers as well. So there's, little point in projecting short-term moves, but I will tell you, which is something I've been saying for the last month or so, that our view is that there is no risk of a huge crash, at least in the mainstream large cap, that kind of segment, because as I've often repeated, that you had a very long phase of under trend returns in 2010 to 20, and you're still far below the trend line. So the real risk of a crash is when you're far above the trend line in terms of returns and so on. So that you're not there anywhere close to that. So that was one part. But also, when markets move that fast, there is always a risk of a sideways correction, of some coming down of the indices and so on. So as I said, I've been saying for the past month or so that we have been more than half hedged. I think right now we might be 75% hedged on our portfolio. So that is the way we like to play a market like this, where in the short term you might expect a correction. So just be hedged so that if there is a sharper correction than you expected, you are hedged. But on the other hand, since our view is that that there is no big risk in the medium term, we don't want to be out of the market and miss out on a possible up move. So that therefore you don't make a cash call, you just do hedge. So that's the thing we've done. And of course, you have to be careful. And I've been again saying this: avoid the high risk areas of the market, which is the micro cap, small cap, IPO. That sort of thing. Sectors also be careful. Of course, part of the correction has come, but banking is still something among the major sectors that I would say be careful of.
Okay, well, be careful of the market. Look at it now. The Sensex is down 600 points and Nifty is down 160 points, and huge cracks in individual stocks. Devina, hi, good morning. I remember we did a Smart Money show about a month ago, right, where we spoke about how, whenever the Indian markets don't do well, global markets are in sort of a bull run, and it's good to sort of hedge yourselves and increase exposure to global markets. Do you think 2024 could be that year where global or other emerging markets perform better than India? And if yes, what should the best strategy be for an investor now?
So now, global diversification is not something that you should do with a one-year view. That I have always said the same, that it does not matter what the global markets did or what India did in the past 1 year, or even what is expected in the next 1 year. Over a period of time, you should have build up to maybe 30% of your assets in global markets. Just to give you one example, when I started working, the dollar was 12 rupees, and now it is 83 or thereabouts. And so there's an 85% depreciation in the course of a career. So when you're talking long-term goals, long-term financial planning, you cannot ignore global markets. Coming back to where India is vis-a-vis global equities, we still think India will outperform. In fact, we are overweight India in our global portfolios. But as I said, that's not the decision to make, that will India outperform in 1 year or not, and therefore decide whether to be in global equities or not.
All right. Hi, Devina. Nigel on this side. Good to speak to you as always. Devina, I wanted to ask you about what's going on with Paytm. I mean, do you have a view out there? The stock, in the unlisted market had so much of demand. Then it came out with an IPO of more than 2,000 rupees. Currently, the stock is at 350 rupees. What's your view out here?
Nigel, I have not, we've never really had a full-scale view on Paytm. As I said, our philosophy in managing money is to remember that investing is a loser's game. So the one who doesn't lose wins. The recent analysis of mutual funds also showed the same thing, that the mutual funds that outperform in the drawdowns or when the market goes down are the ones that are top of the list. And you can outperform in an up move even 93% of the time and still be almost the bottom scheme in your category. So coming back to Paytm, I mean, as I said, we've never bought it and we have never studied because it has many businesses and we've never studied it in that much depth. Of course, at the IPO time, I clearly thought it was overpriced. I was asked that question. And not just that, I mean, that whole slew of so-called new age IPOs that came out in 2021, I was asked that, gun to your head, which one would you buy? And I said, I don't think any of them was worth buying. Then they said, there are enough opportunities in the market, so no need to go on the high risk end. But I don't really have a view on the stock in particular.
I think you had a view on Tata Motors. I think you all were pretty much, I think you all were bullish on auto stocks, if I'm not mistaken, Tata Motors early on?
Yes. We've been overweight autos and auto components since the beginning of 2023, so a little over a year now. So overall, we've been positive, and yes, I mean, Tata Motors also we were positive, and that's been a good sector for us. So about in that time frame, we went overweight auto components and pharma, a few construction companies. So those have all worked out well.
Devina, just to sort of come back to that point which you were talking about earlier, global diversification, right?
Right.
Now, area to diversify into typically has been, of course, I mean, the US, right? Many funds, etc., have done that. But we got a very large market, which is China, which is completely bombed out now. And at the margin, do you think it's maybe, I mean, when you think about global diversification, that market should be part of one's thinking? What can one do? What's your view?
So, I mean, global diversification, one thing also which I keep repeating, that global diversification doesn't mean that you buy a NASDAQ ETF or a S&P ETF and you're done with global diversification. That is not global diversification because leadership always changes. No theme runs forever, whether it is geography, whether it's asset class, whether within a market it is the sector. So, or a style, value versus growth, etc. So that always changes. So you cannot be locked into a fixed allocation of that kind in terms of geographies. 2003 to 7 was a good example when emerging markets went up 3.5, 4 times, and India went up 6, 7 times, Brazil went up 10 times. And during that whole period, even though US was already at lows after the tech crash, it just struggled and could not come up. And that's when, the stories get built that US is yesterday's story and the next century belongs to India and China and BRICS is coined. So don't get carried away with narratives. And you mentioned China. I mean, I would also like to point out that China market made its high in 2007. And the economy is now 6, 7 times what it was in 2007, and still the market is where it is. So there's also often a disconnect between the two things. So coming back to where China is today, we've actually been watching that when the signal comes that now the market will do well. And definitely it's somewhere in the range where it should the prospects should look better, but the final signals I don't think have come. Like last year, we were watching Japan for a few months and we wait for a little bit of confirmation. So we went overweight Japan, I think in April or May. And so that had a good run. So China, we are watching from that point of view. One more thing I would say that even if the Chinese market starts to look good, people only know those 2, 3 stocks, the Alibabas and so on. So when you buy China, doesn't mean that those are the stocks to buy necessarily. In fact, those are the stocks we normally avoid just because of the unknown risk of what the government would do. So you have to have granular data. So we look at actually 20,000 plus actual securities stocks around the world, and we make choices from that. It's not very just like buy China and so I'll go and buy.
And how many out of the 20,000 in China, Devina?
I would not know the number, but China has a number of stocks is quite high.
Okay. No, I mean, the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so, for example, I met someone yesterday who said that they're launching a structure for China. I'm an Indian fund manager based out of the gift city. So the interest certainly is coming back. For a retail investor, the best way to do it is through mutual funds, right? I mean, in terms of a structure. if they want to?
Actually, I mean, because this is a cause for me and there is little expertise, I mean, really speaking,
Okay.
in India for that. So you're just paying for one extra layer of cost into a fund of funds or feeder funds. We have a global, actually multi-asset, multi-geography global structure that starts at $10,000. That's about less than 8.5 lakh rupees. And let me tell you, that kind of structure is not available for less than $1 million, because, as I said, the leadership changes. So you just get into a feeder fund into a US fund or something like that. That doesn't work. You don't want to be, for example, even if you buy China, you don't want to be locked into China for all times to come. So there were these Greater China funds not too long back, I think in 21 itself. So that's not the way to do it, because as an investor, how do you know that this is the time to be in the US, this is the time to be in Europe, this is the time to be in China? So it's better to have someone who understands this, that there has to be tactical and dynamic reallocation. So that's why this is a cause for me. So that's why we started with such a low entry point, so that let people start.
Got it, Devina. We appreciate your time here. Thank you so much for speaking to CNBC TV 18. Hope to chat with you again very soon.